transport variants, the one with the weird generator or whatever the hell it is, and probably also logistical versions. So that's already the ground vehicles. I guess when we move on to what you're all here for, I guess, and those are the jets. You might have seen some screenshots that have been posted, ever since maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. If you follow Arma 3 on Twitter or some of the developers on their private channels, you might have seen some screenshots. So this is the NATO jet. I can't even tell you what it's called exactly. Something A164 Wipeout, I think. And yeah, obviously you do recognize the A10 in that model here. But since Arma 3 plays in 2035 or something in that area, it has been upgraded. It looks a bit more advanced, certainly, and the more edgy design gives it kind of a stealth look. So yeah, it's not a standard A10 as you might know it, but you obviously recognize the A10 model in that. Yeah, as basically all the Arma 3 vehicles, they do look pretty good design-wise, detail-wise. So even when you go close, you can see some details. When you go close to the weapons, you can even read some stuff on them. So that is pretty sweet. Also, this is Dev Branch, so the full version is not released until next Thursday, I think. Might still be subject to change in some areas. But yeah, you do have some nice warnings here, some fun stuff. Warning: don't operate without manual. So yeah, that's good to know. So yeah, that's the I want to say A10. I think it's A164 or something. When you look at the armor, at the weaponry, that's that. You get 2 AA missiles on the wingtips. You got rocket pods on both sides with 7 rockets each. You got air-to-ground missiles or guided missiles like Mavericks or Hellfires and the choppers, and you do have 4 guided. I'm pretty sure they're guided bombs, laser-guided bombs, so you can have a JTAC on the ground, laser designating targets for you, and then you get the infamous 30mm Gatling cannon on the front. So yeah, that's basically the model. Looking nice. Well, let's hop in, see how the cockpit looks, and then obviously take it out for a spin. Here you can even kind of recognize the teeth of a hawk, you know, and maybe this could be an eye, so kind of the hawk design on the front. Nice animation. How the ladder comes out, also the canopy opens. Nothing really fancy. We have seen that in previous Arma games on older aircraft models already, but it is also here on this one. The cockpit looks pretty sweet. A lot of details like the monitors and whatnot, a lot of buttons. Unfortunately, still not interactable. If you have tested the A10C add-on by Parallel for Arma 3, where you have some interaction in the cockpit already, even though it's still in alpha, you might miss that here, but it is looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm glad to see that. Let's spool her up. Once you turn on the engine, canopy closes automatically, and now you got quite some information on those multifunctional displays. Left side, you got the weapons display basically, so you see your payload. I've already done a little bit of testing beforehand. The cool thing is when you actually fire missiles or drop bombs or something, the amount will decrease here, or the status will change here, so you actually have a display that is showing you what kind of payload you still got available, but obviously you have the weapon or the ammo indicator on the top right corner that does basically the same thing. Here you get attitude display, you get the compass, you get flap stages there, and on the right side you get the engine stuff, fuel tanks. We'll see how that updates while flying, or if those things actually change. Jeez, This is the HUD. Maybe you don't do too much. You get speed, speed indication, altitude, and also direction. Plus you see if the gear or flaps are down or not. From the outside you do have those nice Arma 3 heat effects. I'm not sure how good you're able to see them in the stream, but they're there, looking nice. The sound is pretty nice too. I'm just gonna shut down the engines quickly. So this is the engine shutdown sound. As you see, as soon as it's shut down completely, the ladder goes down again and the canopy opens. So that is nice. I'm gonna dial down the volume a bit. Track AR support is good. As you might know, I do have track AR, so my head movement is ported into the game. What I'm missing is leaning. Unfortunately, leaning does not work. But other than that, basically all the movements are forward. All the movement is ported into the game, which is pretty neat. So let's taxi to the runway, get this thing airborne. Maneuverability on the ground is pretty bad. Gotta be honest with you. You obviously have to stay or to remain slow while taxiing. Usually something or anything below 30 kilometers per hour is pretty good. Keeps the aircrafts maneuverable. But with this one, it is pretty hard to make those small turns here in the taxiway, or tight turns. Cell phone just went nuts. It's nothing. Oh, freaking bunny. Better get out of here. Alright, let's check if the flaps work. Didn't do anything. They did before when I was flying. Right now they don't do anything, which is kind of not good on takeoff. At least semi flaps would be nice. But I guess, or I hope I get her airborne with what's remaining of the runway. Alright, let's go. I'm gonna stay in third person. Yeah, a lot of bunnies here. Alright, so I guess that was around 200. Yeah, some flaps would be nice. Seriously. Yeah, now they work. Great. Alright, gear up. So that animation works. On the left side on the HUD you see flaps now. Well, maybe you see it, maybe you don't. Maybe if I turn away from the sun you might see them. The HUD lighting might be, or could be, a bit more intense, because when you look at the sky here, I can't see shit. So now you see flaps. If I go to 0 flaps, it disappears when I lower my gear. You see that? Just realized I get some sound effects. Or not. Yeah, maybe you hear it, maybe you don't. A little bit of sound effects for gear and flaps. So that's alright. Yeah, HUD is displaying in real time. So altitude on the ASL, which is altitude above sea level. It's changing, and on the bottom you got the direction where you're flying. Also here in the displays, attitude, flaps as well. Center display, on the lower right corner of the center display you see flaps. It's semi flaps now, left and right, full flaps, semi flaps, zero flaps. That's pretty nice. Flap indicator on the multifunctional displays. That's something we have not seen yet in any Arma game, or at least not in the vanilla Arma game. On the right side you get fuel there. Seems to be already decreasing. So fuel indicator. I'm not sure what the rest does, or if it actually does anything. But yeah, those displays are pretty sweet. We got flares, 120 flares. So that's that. And now for the guns. I don't actually have any targets lined up. I'm not going to do like engage a lot of targets, but I'm definitely going to fire all the weapons and check out how the sounds are and whatnot. So we'll start off with the Gatling cannon, 30mm Gatling cannon. I've pre-tested. Sounds pretty good. I hope you guys could hear that alright. So that sounds alright, gotta say. If you're familiar with the BIS sounds in their games, they're usually not that great, to be honest. So I always use sound mods, but this Gatling cannon does sound pretty good. I was impressed when I first heard it about an hour ago. So that's the Gatling cannon, 1,000 rounds. You got Falchion 22 AA short-range missiles, A-10. Well, it's not an A-10, but this aircraft is a CAS aircraft. It is not really suited for CAP, so for combat air patrols. It is not that fast. It is not super agile compared to a real fighter jet, but it does have some AA missiles for basically self-defense, or maybe to take out any helicopters. But it's not suited for a dogfight. So the sounds on those missiles have changed too. Not bad. AGMs, air-to-ground missiles, are called Macer. 6 of them are in the payload of this aircraft right here. Also new sound. It's pretty sweet. Then you got the rocket pods on both wingtips, Schwieker or something like that. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. You got a rocket pod with HE rockets, 7 of them, and then you got a rocket with AP, so and armor piercing, another 7 rockets. So you see they were fired on the left side, and the other ones are fired on the right side. So HE is on the right side, AP on the left side. So I guess I've not tested, but I'm pretty sure the locking on does work just fine with air-to-ground and air-to-air missiles. GBU-12 laser-guided bombs, there's nothing really fancy about those, as long as you don't have someone lasing targets on the ground for you. What you see here are the braking flaps. Yeah, obviously good in the landing approach, and also in an approach for a gun run. They will stabilize your aircraft, which helps you aligning the Gatling gun or the unguided rockets to your targets, because yeah, obviously the gun is not adjustable. It just fires where the aircraft is pointing. Yeah, definitely a lot of firepower on this aircraft. Yeah, it's sure fun to fly it, I guess. I guess it's awesome when you're on the ground and you have someone, maybe multiplayer, someone flying that thing. In on public servers and multiplayer, as it has also been with the A10 in the previous games, they're usually pretty overkill, you know. So you can easily wipe out. That's probably why this model is called Wipeout. You can easily wipe out an entire AO with just one aircraft, and if you got ground units on the ground and they're not working properly together with the CAS support, it's going to be boring for them, because that thing comes in, lights everything up, and flies away, and you got the ground team on the ground trying to do something, but they're just going to get bored and pissed off. So obviously it's a choice of the server host if he wants to add those really high-powered aircrafts to their missions on the public server. But in organized, structured, cooperative team or gameplay, it is going to be awesome for CAS. Alright, so here again the weapon display. Let's just see. When I change the weapons, it also changes, or it highlights the ones that are selected on the screen. So now, for example, the air-to-ground missiles. When I go to the AA missiles, which I have fired completely, you see those red bars, so it instantly indicates me that I'm out of those rockets. And you got like a small thing there that is decreasing the number. It changes to red once one rocket pod is out of rockets. So that's all good. That's pretty nice. I do like that extra information and actually working multifunctional displays in an aircraft, which are not just eye candy with some sort of picture on. Alright, I guess that does it for this aircraft. I'm just gonna try to RTB and land. First I have to find out where I am exactly. That's pretty good actually. Yeah, fuel indication or there's less fuel now, so that's also indicated. I haven't really tested maximum speed, but I see that I'm flying above the recommended top speed, basically. Alright, I gotta slow her down now. Flaps out, gear out. Oh, landing gear is also indicated just above the flaps indicator. I do not have ILS, unfortunately. Usually, as soon as you lower your gear, your landing gear, ILS is displayed. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that it's still in the dev branch right now. Maybe that's coming, but I sure would appreciate an ILS, especially at nighttime, because I prefer ILS over visual landing. I gotta slow her down now. Alright. We made it. Oh, my truck is still here. I'm just gonna go cross country here. I don't want to taxi to the end of the runway. And now for some reason the flaps work. Come on, got it. Who flipped over that truck? I don't know. So, yeah, see there's a lot of stuff going on in the comments. I'm obviously not really able to read the comments while flying. Just trying to keep up there. Any questions relating to this aircraft right here before we move on to the CSAT version, or the CSAT 1? Maybe the guns again? Yeah, pretty neat. I'm impressed. Good job, BIS, on those gun sounds. Also the missile sounds. They have improved. Glad to see that. All right. Even jumps out of the cockpit. Yeah, so that's the, again, I don't know the freaking name of that thing. A164, I think. For me, it's gonna stay in A10. Simple as that. All right, that's the CSAT aircraft. I have no idea what happened to that thing. I guess it has been in Pimp My Aircraft or so. So they lowered the suspensions on it. In my opinion, it looks freaking weird. It's really low. But yeah, that's obviously player's preference. I have no clue what that aircraft is called either, or what actually real aircraft it might come from. You know, obviously that one over there is inspired by the A10. This I don't know, maybe a Frogfood, Su-25 Frogfood or something. Could have been an inspiration for this one. Don't really know. So it also has quite a bit of payload. It's also a CAS aircraft, so close air support, air-to-ground combat mainly. It's not a fighter jet, but still a valid aircraft for what it's usually used in this game. So a bunch of missiles, I don't really recognize them. I guess also here in the wingtips you got AA. Those could be AGMs, so air-to-ground rocket pods, some bigger AGMs maybe, and some huge ass bombs, probably also laser guided. And then about the same thing on the other side. Yeah, it really, I think that aircraft is freaking ugly. Sorry about that, but it looks really, it's a freaking ugly aircraft. Doesn't say it's a bad aircraft, but it's just ugly in my opinion. So twin engine there. I guess it's going to be quite fast. Usually, as it has been in Arma, the two aircrafts or all the aircrafts for the different factions are, some have some more advanced stuff in one area, the other one have some more advanced stuff in another area, so that in the end they're balanced. They're not equivalent really when it comes to maybe airspeed or weaponry or maneuverability or so. But all in all, they're balanced. And this one is maybe not that overpowered on weapon-wise, especially because it's missing the Go 8 gun, or it's not called Go 8 gun, but the 30mm Gatling gun, which the NATO one version does have. But it's probably faster and probably more agile. So in the end, it's gonna be balanced again. So this is the cockpit. Also here, nice displays. Obviously, an aircraft, yeah, somewhat in the future. When we turn it on, we do get some real life information, or updated in real life information, like the engines firing up there. Basically, the torque being increased. Also here, we do have some information about weapons, probably. The overview is not as good as in the other one, in my opinion. But I guess you get the same information display right here. Let's also check out the sounds. Heat effects here, also available. Alright, let's go to the runway, take off. Yeah, so your maneuverability is not good. I mean, if you got those yellow lines at the ground, which you're supposed to follow while taxiing, it should also be possible to actually turn or turn on those lines. But maybe I'm just a sucky pilot. Very well possible. Ah, alright. It's probably the second one. Come on, align it. Let's see if the flaps work here. Also here on the ground. I can't use the flaps on the ground, even via action menu. It doesn't even take the action, you know. Might be the reason again because it's still left branch. So if that works next week on full release, it's alright for me. Or that's good enough for me. Oh, fuck that. Alright, let's get it airborne. Yeah, this thing is definitely has more power, you know, so it increases speed quite a bit faster than the NATO version does, or the NATO aircraft does. I probably have already exceeded the top speed of the Wipeout. I'm just gonna call it that. That's something I can remember. So right now 600 something kilometers per hour. I don't know what the top speed of the Wipeout is, but I'm pretty sure this one's faster, this one's more agile, but maybe a little bit less power on the weapons. But in the end they're pretty balanced, I'm sure. Alright, let's also check out the weapons. Fire the guns. Only 500 rounds. It is also 30mm, but I guess those guns are more effective against other aircrafts. So basically in the dogfight than for engaging ground targets. While the Wipeout is definitely, the Wipeout's cannon is definitely suited for air-to-ground combat, taking out tanks or any other position. Alright, so other weapons we have SAR-3 AA short-range missiles, 2 of them. Guess it's about the same sounds as for the other aircraft. Shah-Rur HE, also air-to-ground missiles. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. HE non-guided rockets. An HE pod and also an AP pod. So this is basically the same as for the other one, except here you got 20 of each, and on the Wipeout you got 7 of each. And then bombs here. Probably also laser guided. You see here, instead of the braking flaps on the wings as the Wipeout has it, here you got the braking thingy on the top to reduce airspeed. It's not really good for stabilizing in a gun run, but it's good for decreasing speed in the loading approach and the landing approaches. So that's that. Yeah, they don't have the exact same loadout, but they're probably pretty balanced. Also here you got, like on the right side is the weapons display. You see something as some weapons are like status red, meaning they've been fired. If I fired an air-to-ground missile now, it changes the status to red there. Green is indicating which one is selected, so now it's the left pod. Bomb here. And the guns in the front. So that's pretty neat. You don't constantly have to look at the in-game HUD on the top right corner for your weapon status. You got everything displayed right here. But that's pretty sweet. Alright, also with this aircraft I'm not going to do any fighting or so. I'm not going to engage any targets. I'm actually just gonna land that thing. I'm gonna try to land it. Be quite interesting with that, with the like really the low design, or if you want to call it that, when it's on the ground. I guess you got to be really careful in the landing approach that you don't hit the tail on the runway or so. Yeah, now again the flaps work, semi-full flaps, landing gear, till there. I don't really know what the minimal airspeed is for those aircrafts before they go into stall. It's gotta definitely be less than 400. Whoa, why is the gear? Oh man. Nice crosswind landing. So it's done. Alright. Made it safely back to base. With both aircrafts. Yeah, they're alright to fly. Nothing super fancy. They're about the same as the buzzard, the AAF buzzard, as you see right here. Obviously, what I really like is the 30mm Gatling gun on the Wipeout. That's definitely a lot of fun, as it has always been, as it is on the A10 in any game. So engaging targets with that gun is awesome, and also being on the ground as an infantry unit while you have CAS flying in and lighting up targets with a high-powered cannon, as this one is. That's always impressive and pretty cool to look at. So those are the chats. We had the ground vehicles, and before I enter stream, I'm going to show you the two new locations, or kind of like the upgraded locations that come with this update, or Hellfires and the choppers. And you do have 4 guided, I'm pretty sure they're guided bombs, laser guided bombs, so you can have a JTAC on the ground, laser designating targets for you. And then you get the infamous 30mm Gatling cannon on the front. So yeah, that's basically the model. Looking nice. Well, let's hop in, see how the cockpit looks, and then obviously take it out for a spin. Here you can even kind of recognize the teeth of a hawk, you know, and maybe this could be an eye, so kind of the hawk design on the front. Nice animation stuff on them, so that is pretty sweet. Also, this is Dev Branch, so the full version is not released until next Thursday, I think. Might still be subject to change in some areas. But yeah, you do have some nice warnings here, some fun stuff. Warning: don't operate without manual. So yeah, that's good to know. So yeah, that's the I want to say A10. I think it's A164 or something. When you look at the armor, at the weaponry, that's that. You get 2 AA missiles on the wingtips. You got rocket pods on both sides with 7 rockets each. You got air-to-ground missiles or guided missiles like Mavericks, or 3 plays in 2035 or something in that area. It has been upgraded. It looks a bit more advanced, certainly, and the more edgy design gives it kind of a stealth look. So yeah, it's not a standard A10 as you might know it, but you obviously recognize the A10 model in that. Yeah, as basically all the Arma 3 vehicles, they do look pretty good design-wise, detail-wise. So even when you go close, you can see some details. When you go close to the weapons, you can even read some how the ladder comes out. Also, the canopy opens. Nothing really fancy. We have seen that in previous Arma games on older aircraft models already, but it is also here on this one. The cockpit looks pretty sweet. A lot of details like the monitors and whatnot. A lot of buttons. Unfortunately, still not interactable. If you have tested the A10C add-on by Parallel for Arma 3, where you have some interaction in the cockpit already, even though it's still in alpha, you might miss that here, but it is looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm glad to see that. Let's spool her up. Once you turn on the engine, canopy closes. Transport variants, the one with the weird generator or whatever the hell it is, and probably also logistical versions. So that's already the ground vehicles. I guess when we move on to what you're all here for, I guess, and those are the jets. You might have seen some screenshots that have been posted, yeah, ever since maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. If you follow Arma 3 on Twitter or some of the developers on their private channels, you might have seen some screenshots. So this is the NATO jet. I can't even tell you what it's called exactly. Something A164 Wipeout, I think. And yeah, obviously you do recognize the A10 in that model here. But since Arma